There is a specific type of panic that sets in when you realize you are entirely alone in a dark house. The ambient noise around you fades, the shadows stretch out, and your brain suddenly goes on high alert. Consider a young boy who, in a fit of stubborn defiance, refused to eat his grandmother's dinner. He wanted sweets, and he made sure everyone knew it. His rebellion had physical consequences. Right in the middle of the kitchen floor sat a bright, spreading puddle of spilled red tomato juice. Frustrated, his grandmother leaves the house. As evening sets in, the lights stay off, and the house drops into total, suffocating silence. When humans are stripped of familiar environmental inputs like light and ambient sound, we enter an information vacuum. The brain hates a vacuum. It aggressively searches for data to process. Darkness itself doesn't conjure actual monsters. Instead, it creates a sensory void. And when an isolated, slightly guilty mind is left unattended in that void, it starts manufacturing its own threats to fill the space. Outside, a thunderstorm rolls in. Flashes of lightning and howling wind act as a biological primer. The sudden spikes in noise and light flood the boy's nervous system with adrenaline. This illustrates pareidolia, an evolutionary glitch where the visual cortex puzzles together random data to form a threat pattern. Spiked with adrenaline, his compromised brain maps this pattern onto the harmless red tomato stain, transforming a spilled drink into a glowing, sinister entity. Then the doorbell rings. Right after the chime, there is a slow, metallic grinding of a key turning in the lock. Under normal conditions, the sound of a caretaker returning home is comforting. But inside the information vacuum, the boy's fear filter misinterprets the turning key as the arrival of an invading monster coming directly for him. True terror relies on this exact cascade of cognitive distortions. The environment provides the raw materials, but the mind is the ultimate manufacturer of fear. The boy hits peak physical panic. He is shivering in the dark, absolutely convinced that whatever is opening that door is going to take him. This is the biological tipping point of the fight or flight response. When fear becomes overwhelming, a paralyzed brain eventually has to pick an action: flee or fight. He makes a psychological shift. He rejects his own helplessness. He declares he's a big boy, capable of defending his ground. He translates that internal resolve into physical action. He grabs a broom, planting his feet and actively arming himself against the unknown threat. Choosing to move toward a perceived threat through physical action interrupts the cycle of mental projection. This decision to stand his ground effectively ends the dominance of the illusion. The door swings wide open. The lights click on. And the anticlimactic truth is revealed. It is just his grandmother, stepping inside with a sweet cake. This diagram shows cognitive reframing. When a wave of truth washes over the brain, the panicked nervous system rewires itself. The glowing monster on the floor breaks apart, reverting back into neutral data. It is just spilled tomato juice again. With immense emotional relief washing over him, he immediately denies ever being afraid at all. But he follows that up with a final act of resolution. He takes the broom, the same object he just held as a weapon, and uses it to clean up the tomato stain. By cleaning the spill, he addresses the original source of his guilt. Removing the stain eliminates the physical visual cue that his mind used to build its monster in the first place. When we confront shadows with light and action, we find that the monster was simply a misinterpretation of mundane data. Facing the dark reveals the room as it actually is, proving that the threat existed only within the vacuum of his own thoughts.